Yeah, now stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast. Welcome back to this episode. This is the second part of a double header. If you haven't heard the first, go back and listen to it. If you can't be bothered, that's all right. Just keep listening to this one, and hopefully you enjoy it. And don't forget, like and subscribe. I hate it when people say that.
Yeah. So what? Are we going to do a little bit of NBA?
Let's do a little bit of NBA.
A little bit of NBA. Right, I've got 4 points. Should we smash on with my points?
Smash them
You
through.
got some points you want to talk about?
Two of yours were the exact same as mine, so let's just roll them.
Okay, right. I think a great talking point is the Los Angeles Lakers raised the first NBA Cup banner. If you've not seen it, it's black, gold trim, got the NBA Cup on it. I think it's great. You know, it says, you know, it's highlights this is something that has value, and you know, I like the fact that someone's put a banner up, and I also like the fact that they've done it differently. So for those who've never seen the Laker banners, they're yellow with a purple trim. When you're there, it's really obvious, which is like the 54 and the is it the 70s? I think it was 172.
Yeah.
And then as you go through it, it's really obvious because the style changes. But generally, from what I remember, it's yellow with purple trim. But this one, black with gold trim. And I just thought that was great. I just thought, you know what, just like, if this is something that we're going to be talking about as a big deal in 50 years' time, then that is the way to go. Put a banner up that's just a different color. So, you know, I thought that was great. Did you have a thought on that?
I thought it was hilarious that they lost that game. So the night that they put it up into the rafters, they lost the game.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. It's,
I didn't even pay attention that game.
Yeah, you got to laugh a little bit because, you know, this is our banner evening or whatever they wanted to call it, and yeah, congratulations, you got a flag.
Did they get rings?
No, just that, because you remember they got the little tournament thing, didn't they?
The medals, yeah. So why would you get rings? It makes sense, like, not to have them. So yeah, no. And I think by getting rings, it would devalue it a bit, because then it's like, okay, what ring do you want? The cup ring? Or so I think getting the medals from the league is the best way to do it. Yeah.
I mean, look, what the bottom line is, I don't think there is a player around who won't say that tournament wasn't a success. I think they did it absolutely the right way. It was confusing because they didn't explain things maybe very well. Luckily for them, we
explained it. We explained it for everyone.
We were on standby. We got your back, Adam. Don't worry about it.
We're on it like a rash.
We absolutely all over it, on it like a car bonnet. And the main thing there was that once people understood, I think the player loading and that all the games were just double bubble. At first people were like, what's the point? They've all seen the trophy now.
Yeah.
So I want to see what happens next year.
I think in 5 years' time that will build. You know what? I've got a huge question, and I really hope they do the one I'm going to say. The trophy that the Lakers got.
Yep.
Do they have to give that back to the league, or where there'll be a new trophy for every season?
I would have thought they would give that.
Knowing the NBA, knowing the NBA, they'll say that's your trophy.
Yeah.
We'll make another one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Now, the reason that things like the FA Cup in English football is so special is because you got to give that back. You don't get to keep it. You get to like hold it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're its keeper for a year. That's why it's so special. Like, fans queue up when their team wins the FA Cup so they can stand with it and touch it, because that might be the only time you can go near the FA Cup.
Yep.
That's why there's so much romanticism around it. That's why people look at it and go, I'm in the FA Cup final. That's why players go, oh my God, I'm in an FA Cup final. I personally hope that they have to hand the trophy back to the NBA and then they reassign it.
Oh, 100%.
Because you then have history. Now imagine in 50 years' time, you've got the next player, Mark Chester, let's say, he's lifting up the NBA Cup. He's lifting up that cup that LeBron James has lifted up. That 50 years, like you can say, I've touched something which is a part of history that legends before me have touched, and that's why it's so special, and that's why I think they should give it back. I don't think for a second the NBA are going to do it, because it's like, oh yeah, that's your one, but I think they should.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. The fact
it becomes more magical.
Well, I
there's
think
history.
I think they may do that.
Like the World Cup, you're touching something legends have touched.
I think there's a possibility they might do that though. And the reason I say that is because of the walk along. They did that whole walk through, didn't they? And put the trophy there to let everyone walk past it. And they don't do that normally. And that for me, it does. Again, it didn't matter what the players were like. Oh, we're just doing this tournament. They walked in and saw a giant cup, and they all just went, "Oh yeah, I want to win that."
That's nice.
And it was nice trophy.
I mean,
but I do hope they do it. And after they listen to this podcast, they probably will, Mark. So we'll take credit for that.
Look, they showed the carrot to the donkey. They all got excited, and the result was, well, I'd say not only a successful tournament, but they showed that the tournament works. There's a few tweaks, and I think we'll do a wrap-up show about what. I know we did one saying what they could do differently in that, but maybe at the end of the season we'll wrap the whole thing up of what the whole of this season's been like, because that in-season tournament, I think that's going to have an effect on the league. It's just a gut feeling, but people like Indiana, they're going to have a little bit more excitement about themselves, because I think, look how far we did and we beat some people, and as you pointed out, they had some much tougher rides than LA to get to the final. What's LA going to?
And I think LeBron showed his class in that game as well. Like, really did. Like, it was like there was like an incident. I know people look at the scoreline and go, "Oh, that was a blowout." It wasn't a blowout. There was one point when I just remember Lakers were bringing the ball over the halfway line. One of the players was in trouble at the half line. LeBron turned around and called a timeout.
Oh yeah.
And then the play carries on. But it was a pivotal point where you think I think they were up by 4. They called a timeout, regrouped, got the ball, hit a 3, bam, they're up by 7.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's little things like that he does that I just thought, I know he moans at the refs a bit, but it was just I've been singing the praises of the tournament since the start. But look, can I go on to my second point, which is kind of continuing on from that?
Do it.
Which is the NBA Cup MVP. Now, there's a lot of criticism, and I don't know if this is the LeBron haters, where they're saying he wasn't the MVP of the NBA Cup. Now, I just want to make this point, and that's just my point, and I'm done. Okay, so if you look at stats, Anthony Davis was the MVP of the NBA Cup final. Easily, yeah? I mean, yes, you had little things that LeBron James was doing, like I just said about that timeout and stuff like that. I mean, that's just him as a player. Like, with his contribution, without him, who knows what would happen. However, Anthony Davis has to be considered the MVP of that game.
Yep.
Now, my big but is the NBA don't look at it like that. They look at it as a series. So they're not looking at a game and going like, they're looking at the entire, like the whole, who they played throughout that whole tournament. And when you look at that, LeBron James is the MVP.
That's also helped because
Anthony Davis is a close second.
It's not.
He's a close second. You can't say that, but he's not MVP over all of those games. LeBron James is.
Yeah, but I think it's called the MVP, the finals, plural MVP. If it's called the in-season tournament final MVP, then that should be Anthony Davis. But it's finals, and they're calling the finals anything from that last stages, aren't they? So you're right. It would be LeBron because he did. It's finals. It's multiple games. not one game.
Yeah. And if you look through the history of like NBA championships, sometimes the person who gets the MVP, you think, yeah, they're definitely up there. Are they the one who did it, or are they your franchise player? A little bit of that does come in. I mean, I do think the NBA could make that clearer and say, look, a bit like the World Cup. I was listening to Adam Silver talking about this, and he was basically saying, look, the NBA Cup is based on the World Cup, which kind of makes sense with the playoff standings. The group standings, then go through the knockout stages. Makes sense. But if you're man of the match and you win, that's usually from the final. That's not this is what I've done through the tournament. I mean, you could argue that throughout the history again in the World Cup, but normally it's who plays best on that one day for that FA Cup, for that World Cup final.
Yeah.
So I do think the NBA should clarify maybe the MVP and say this is for the 7-game series in the NBA championship, or this is your franchise player, or whatever it is, because you and I get what people are saying online. If you talk about that one game, yes, Anthony Davis. If you talk about the progression, it's LeBron James. So he's getting a bit of criticism there, but based on, I'd say, the history of the NBA, well, he's MVP. It's like it's, and I think it's the right, in history, it looks great, if you know what I mean, for the NBA and LeBron.
Did you know there is one person in history to win a finals MVP who was on the losing team?
Really?
Yep. 1981.
I've got a guess.
Not 1981, sorry. 1969. 1969, sorry.
Well, my guess would be Jerry West is my guess.
Correct. Despite losing the 1969 finals, Lakers' Jerry West averaged 37.9 points a game, 4 rebounds and 7.4 assists, and he earned the finals MVP. I mean, that's insane, isn't it? Sorry, we lost, but here's the MVP.
That wouldn't happen nowadays.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't let it happen nowadays. It would have to be in a, there are some performances and championships past that you would say, Isaiah Thomas, in 88 against the Lakers. Got to put that name up there. I don't know. I'd have to go through the actual box scores of it, but I'm sure there's some you can go through.
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's the only one in history so far for the NBA, anyway.
Wow. Well, it rung a bell. I remember hearing that on a documentary, so I think I knew that one. But yeah, right. Should we get away from the NBA Cup?
Yeah, let's get away. I've got a couple of good ones, so you crack on.
I've got 2 more times. These are freaking shows in themselves, Mark.
Do it.
Giannis.
Yep.
He wanted the ball, didn't he? He wanted it. I mean, what did he get? What was it? How many points did he score?
I would say 64 off the top of my head.
62, 64 points, something like that. So for those who don't know, Giannis
64
gets,
points.
An absolute outstanding game, and he wants the game ball, and someone on the Indiana Pacers, was it a rookie or something like that?
Yeah, the rookie scored
his first point, and they grabbed the game ball from him, and Giannis sprinted aggressively into their change room. Basically, I think there was 3 Bucks players in the change room, basically saying, "Give me that freaking ball now." Which is, I don't know. I know your view on it. My view is like, who gives a crap about a freaking ball when you score a load of points in the game? Who cares?
Paul George said it
if
best.
It's the NBA Finals, yeah, brilliant. I scored my first points in the NBA. All right, okay. No. You got your first 10-point game. Here's another ball. 20. Here's another ball. How many balls do you want in your house?
Well, I did put up a post and just put a thing saying Giannis also has the largest ball collection ever in Milwaukee as a joke. But I actually believe, I think Paul George on his podcast said it best, where he said the bottom fundamental thing is they are the away team. Milwaukee are the home team. You've got no rights on that ball. Doesn't matter what it is. You've got no rights on the ball. Now, if you went and said, hey, look, this game, you won. It was a blowout. It was nothing special. It was just, you beat us. But our rookie scored the first points. You'd be like, hey, yeah, sure. But it's Milwaukee's right because it's their home. It's their home game. It's their home game ball. Did Giannis handle it the best? No. But as he shows he's a bit emotional when he's done some press conferences and stuff. He's handled himself reasonably well, but sometimes he wears it on his sleeve. He's a sportsman. He's playing a game.
Who said that? Paul George. Did you say Paul George?
Yeah. He said that, and he's like, at the end of the day, you're a visiting team. You got no right. And the fact that
that sounds pretty logical.
But also, here's the other thing. He's like, Paul said, I've got my first game ball, but it was a no matter game. It didn't matter. So I got my first points. I was lucky enough to get that. He said, but the fact is also, I think it's Richard Hamilton did an explanation on it. One of the things that he said was, like, Rick Carlisle, the coach, and some of the others had already said, we'd already said, and in the team, we'd all agreed that, if he gets his points, he'll get the ball. And he's like, you're the visiting team. Like, you got no right. You can't decide. Oh yeah, we're going to have that. It's like,
how many game balls are there? Is that a silly question? Is it just one? I thought there was two anyway.
They usually have 2 or 3 because we've seen a few things. I don't know if you saw a clip. I think it was a few weeks back now because we're only week 9 in the NBA. Remember, it's still early in the season. But there was a game that LeBron was playing, and the refs went over to the side, and he was like, "No, I want that ball back. We're playing with that game. That's the ball game that we're using for the game. I want that ball back. Like, don't swap it at halftime or anything." And he was really, really getting protective over it. So there is 2 or 3 balls, I think, and then they whittle it down and they decide which ones they want to use for the game. But there's always at least one or others floating around.
Hey, look, if I'm in change, if I was an NBA player and I was in the change room and I just scored my first basket and someone said, "That's the ball, your NBA ball," and I just put it in my bag, and then Giannis and all those guys came in, went, "Oh bloody hell, are you going to give him the right ball? Or are you just going to give him another ball?" You go, yeah, it was that one.
I think
there's one guy who knows it was actually this ball in my bag.
I think what Giannis should do. Yeah, you're right. 100% there was a switchery, but
he don't know. He don't know if he's got the right ball or not. He got given a ball and he could have stormed off. It's like, that's the ball you got from the changing room. How do you know it's the right ball? Is it marked or is it numbered or something? I don't know.
But
I doubt
people were saying,
numbered, are they?
Giannis is minted. Giannis should it's a rookie. Why doesn't Giannis give him like $100,000 and buy it off him? It's like, what? That's just, people saying stuff like that. It's just lunacy. What I think,
he gives a crap about a ball, though.
Well,
don't you think?
I think.
What happens if he scores 70 points next game? You're going to get that ball as well. Well, the 64-point ball doesn't mean much, does it?
I think Giannis should give him the ball. And even though it's Giannis's ball, but here's why. Because Giannis is now in history. If you've got to think, Oscar Robertson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 2 of the most famous basketball players alive, who played for the Bucks. He's surpassed them now. So, and he's then taken the highest for the whole franchise, not just for him personally as a career, but also for the franchise. That does mean something to him, no question, but he's now in history. That's in the history books. That's written now. So he doesn't need the ball to remind him of that. On that moment, that night, 100%, that was his, and he should have had that. That was Indiana's fault for taking that ball. That was
But I think if he was that bothered by it, grab it before rather than run into the change room.
But
why were you that bothered about it?
Now this is why I'm going to be real harsh reality here. Is that player who scored his first ever points in the NBA ever going to be anything like the same career that he's had? That's my 2 cents worth.
I don't know. Who was it? Well, time will tell. Time will tell.
And that's all I'm saying. I think how many people actually ever get to have the superstar career? There's lots of journeymen. in the NBA. There's lots of players who go in the NBA and after 4 or 5 years, they're switched through or rotated out, or they maybe play 7 or 8 years, and they're role players. They do their bit, and that's it. They won't be the Westbrooks. They won't be the Giannis. They're not going to be the franchise players. So on that basis, you go, having your first game ball, the first points you ever scored in the NBA,
that's nice, isn't it?
It would mean something more to him than it would for Giannis. Giannis has got the accolades.
But that's the same thing as what I'm saying. If Giannis gets 66 points next game and gets that ball, this the one that he's barging in the changing room fighting for means nothing, doesn't it?
It doesn't. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
See what I mean? I don't get it. It sounds like something else is going on there.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, sure.
Look, if that was freaking Draymond Green, they'd be saying counselling.
Oh God, yeah.
If that was Draymond Green, they'd be saying, right, we need to kick off. It's Giannis. It's like, oh, he was just passionate.
Yeah. Oh, he was 100%. I mean, look, you've mentioned him. We got to talk about it. It's the dark cloud in the room, isn't it? At the moment, unfortunately for Draymond. He's always been a physical player. This is
I say yes and no.
He's always been a physical player. He's always been a bit of a, I want to say, dirty player, but he's always been challenging as a player. I haven't always, I don't want to say liked him, because I think sometimes he's crossed that boundary. But from seeing the influences that he would have had from Detroit back in like the mid 2000s, and seeing some of the size of the player he is and how he likes to play, he's always done well for him. On the court, it's always worked out well for him. And there's nothing wrong with having a character and being a bit dirty. We both like the dirty players. We both admit that. But I think there's clearly a switch has changed here. And I just wonder if is it not reaching the end of the career? But all these guys are at the end of their contracts or coming up to. Like, the Golden State are done now. That team's wrapped. You're getting people saying, let blow the team up. And when you get into that point, it's, I won't say is it last dance, but I wonder if that's it. And he's just looking at it going, he's been at the team 12 years, I think. It's a long tenure. I think they're the 3 longest tenuring players other than LeBron. I mean, it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Him, Clay, and Steph, they were all within like 2 or 3 years of each other. Something like that.
I'm gonna support Draymond, and I think one of the few people who are supporting Draymond Green at the moment, like, people are talking about counselling and all this stuff. Look, it's not like he's not a controversial player, is it?
No, exactly.
We've had more recent examples of that in the last couple of weeks, and I can't help, and I don't know why I thought about this, but should he been chucked out? Yeah, 100%. It's him. I don't know what it is, but it reminded me of Meta World Peace on James Harden. Remember that when he elbowed him in the face? Yeah. Well, Meta World Peace, he got suspended for 7 games.
Previously known as Ron Artest.
Now they've now taken Draymond Green and they're suspending him indefinitely. So they've said at least 3 weeks. That's 11 games. Now, someone tell me what's different between what Meta World Peace did on James Harden and what Draymond Green's done. It's just
I can answer that.
There's been a few. What?
Oh, it's easy. He did. He did.
Draymond hasn't got any problem.
No. So
he's got no problem. Like, come on.
So he got ejected the first game, right? And then they're like, mate, you got to like tone it down a little bit, because he was a bit feisty. Then the second time he got thrown out was because of choking Gobert, which no one he went too over the top with that. Everyone would say, even he would be like, that's too much. He said, look, I'm apologizing. I don't ever apologize. And that's probably true. He never has in history. So even he knew that he like flipped the switch. So the reason I think that they're going indefinitely is pure because they went, hang on, this is the 3rd in a row. He's literally just come back from suspension for doing this, and he's just gone and done it again. It's like, okay,
So they're creating a new standard on one player.
Yeah, they are.
That's what I don't like about
Yeah,
that.
okay, yeah, but
Yeah, I don't like that.
No, but
it's just
no, but it
and
makes
I
sense.
would go through all these incidents. No, it doesn't.
It does.
I would go for this is just my view in it. I would go through all these incidents and go, okay, so what? Like, you have certain players who are aggressive on the court.
Yeah.
You know, we all know those players. Those players on the court are not the same players off the court.
Yeah, but
if that makes sense.
But it makes sense.
Look, I'm not an NBA player. I'm not a BBL player. But when I was playing, yeah, I'd have these incidents where you would have a punch up on the court and stuff like that. But the game finishes and it's over, and you think, oh, okay, that shouldn't have happened. You don't. It's not like then this massive issue that you're then carrying around with you. It's just like something that just happens in the game.
Yeah, but you'll forget.
So when we talk about that choke one,
yeah,
again, I was quite supportive of him because I just thought, well, if you really look closely, someone was about to choke Klay Thompson, and he came in there supporting his teammate, which I'm 100% behind. Was it excessive? Yeah, of course it was, but would I have done that in the same position? Yeah, I think I would have. Would most people who like watch basketball have been thinking the same thing? Yeah, probably would have. It's like when you're sitting home and all calm going, yeah, I would have walked up to him calmly and said, can you stop strangling my teammate? You would go in there and punch him in the face. Like,
yeah,
you have that aggression on the basketball court, and that's what he's one of the forefrontal players like Bill Laimbeer, stuff like that, who would be doing all that kind of stuff. You know,
no.
His highlight reel, like you said a few weeks ago, will be that all these incidents that we're talking about, and this is just one of those incidents, I think. And I put the contrast to Met World Peace, who's got a 7-game ban. And now they're saying, yeah, you're indefinite, mate. Oh, yeah, because you're making the rule because you need to go and get counselling, all this crap. It's like, oh, shut up. Give him a ban. Yes, that's fine. Make it 7 games. That would be kind of make sense because he's done this incident. Okay, but they're separate incidents. I don't really get it. But
so this is what. So
why don't you give him, say, 10 games?
So
there's nothing wrong with him. People are saying all this stuff. There's nothing wrong with him. Just like get on with it. Give him a ban. Get on with him. Let him come back in the game.
So here's the thing. I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you. But that's why I said I understand why they've done it this way. And the two things you got to think of is the reason that the NBA have done this is, one, look what they did with Jay Morant. He didn't actually do anything. He showed a weapon. I don't agree with that. I think, he was not mindful. He's a young kid who's obviously very wealthy, was caught in a moment and was
but
like...
these are things that he's doing off the
court. No, I get it. Hear me out. He was doing something off the court, and they've given him he's only just coming back to the game now. Like, he wasn't allowed to start the whole season. So he's missed, 20 games, 25 games or something like that?
But that's different because you're an idol.
Yeah, but he didn't.
You're an idol to people.
Yeah, but what did he do
around and stuff like that? You could see the gun. It's like,
I know, but what did he actually do?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But
so Draymond actually
what's
physically.
What's the contrast between someone?
But Draymond physically did something on a court that Bill Laimbeer would do, or someone else would have done many times. We've seen all sorts of players do all sorts. We've seen people, like Joel Embiid, like a few seasons ago, just literally accidentally pivoted and almost broke someone's nose. Like, there was literally blood everywhere, and they're like, oh, maybe he's a bit clumsy. No, he's not. You watched him swing the elbow, and he's a 7-foot monster. But the reality is, it's part of the game. The problem is my second point, which is that's how the NBA are trying to run things. Look at all of the ref calls that they're doing at the moment. The refs at the moment seem to think that people are going to the games to watch them. You're getting people ejected.
Oh, you're not allowed to even swear. You say you basically turn it. Can I say this for historical accuracy?
Yeah.
You basically turn around and go, fucking hell, ref, that's a shit call. Bam, you're chucked out a game.
Yep.
It's like, what?
So,
like,
they've chucked
what's
out
happened to Joker for like last 2 games or whatever it was. Like.
Well, did you see Dylan? Look, Dylan Brooks. He's even self-appointed himself Dylan the villain. he likes to be the bad character. He wants to be like the Reggie Miller and that kind of thing, hype people up.
That was embarrassing.
And they ejected him. And literally,
that was embarrassing.
That call, you look at it and he's saying, he was pushed by Chris Middleton. Like, and Middleton actually had the elbow down and pushed. I'm not going to defend Brooks because I like a nasty character, but I don't like the smarmy. That's just my personal thing. I'm not a fan of I'm the big me. I just like people who like being a villain. I've got no problem with that. But he got fouled and he was pushed out. Like, he wouldn't have gone out of bounds like that if Middleton hadn't have forced him.
It's because he swore.
Yeah, but the ref was right.
If you can.
But why didn't the ref call it?
Saying.
Why didn't the ref call it? The ref was literally right in front of him, and the ref didn't call it. And he turns around, he's like, "Why are you not calling that?" And then the ref went T, and he's like, "Are you kidding me?"
He does say F. He does say F. I want to say 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah, but by then he's already had it called.
According to I looked at the law. Look at the law of what the ref does. They go, he used bad language to me. I can now eject him. Now, the big but I would say with that, they're not doing that with other players.
No, they're not.
There's certain players that don't do it.
No, they don't.
So it's in the hands of the referee to decide whether they're going to eject him or not, isn't it?
We're gonna
if they're having a bad
eject
day,
someone who's the highest point scorer.
In.
Oh, let's get rid of Jokic. Why not? Oh yeah, let's get rid of him. He's the highest point scorer. Yeah, let's get rid of.
LeBron just can't be swearing.
No. Oh, but you say that, but then those guys got ejected when one of them said, "Oh, you're a bitch" or something like that, and then the coach got ejected from the Rockets.
Well, Mark, I appreciate your point here. So you're supporting me with Draymond Green. I appreciate.
No, 100%. No,
so
I
the refs
said
got it wrong. Yeah?
No, 100%. 100%. I think Draymond.
What, the refs got it wrong?
No. Oh yeah, I'd say the refs got it wrong. Of course they did. But I think with Draymond, he's always been a tough player, and going back to him and saying you've got to counsel, you've got to do this or whatever. I think it's a bit extreme, but I do think that when you're seeing the coach saying,
I think that's out. That's out of order. But saying counselling, that's out of order.
I think when
you're watching someone play a basketball game, when you have these personas that people create on the basketball court, and you say, "Oh, you need counselling," because you're seeing a version of them that might be more aggressive or more talkative or whatever on the basketball court.
But these players, you wanted that in season.
Character to have counselling.
Yeah. So that's
exactly. I don't.
They wanted the spice. They got the spice.
Draymond Green, was he out of order? Yes, he was out of order. Suspend him. Give him a suspension. All this other crap that's going on with it. Look, give him a punishment and get him back. It's come on. Like,
we live in a snowflake world.
I've seen worse.
It's a snowflake world.
I've seen
that's
worse,
how we live, and that's where
he's got at least 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's 11 games.
Yep.
Metal World Peace got 7. I think he's been dealt with more harshly because there's been like 3 incidents in like 3 weeks or whatever.
Which he is. And let's be fair, this is the only thing I'll say, let's be fair on the NBA. If someone turns around and punches someone, you go, dude, you can't do that. Then the next one, he comes around and chokes someone, you go, dude, you really can't do that. Then he goes back in, and then the foul he did was a pretty blatant. He's like, oh, I didn't mean to hit him. It's like, dude, you'd like doing a swinging, pivoting clothesline. Like, that dude didn't do anything. That was a pretty harsh one, even by Draymond standards. It was just like a blatant, I just turn around and just socks the guy in the back and side of the head. But you got to look at it from their point of view.
They're going to punish people it's over history. It has to be now. It's like
no, but it has to be. It has to be exponential. We've told you off for violence. Okay, we're telling you off again for violence. Dude, this is your 3rd time we've told you off. You've literally, this is the game back from being suspended, and you've done the same thing. You're doing something else violent. I
don't know if I agree with that or not, because people can use it. It can be used against him as well.
It can be used.
Can go, he's just come back, so he can't push us around. Because
but it can't be used next season.
But each play by each play, it's just like I don't know. I don't see much difference between what Metal World Peace did and what he did.
I think the main difference is
I don't know.
You've also moved away from that physical game. We've only really seen that physical game come back in the last year or 2, if that. We think Metal World Peace was a long time ago.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's great.
It is, but look,
the NBA's found it testicular fortitude.
You're saying about 7 games for Metal World Peace. Go back to we talked about the Palace and Auburn Hills, and talk about Malice in the Palace. You think of how many people got suspended.
That should be
Those guys,
we
they got
should
rest of season
show
bans.
on that.
Yeah, well, they got rest of season bans, and you got some of the guys. I think it was O'Neal got like a 20-something plus game ban as well for his part in it, and Meta obviously. But I saw, just to tidy this up, I saw a brilliant comment someone had thrown out. That was like, "It's a simple solution. All he's got to do is change his name like Meta did. So he's not Ron Artest. He's now Meta World Peace. See, everyone loves him now."
Yeah. Done.
That's it, Draymond. Just change your name.
Well, there you go, Draymond Green. Change your name to Draymond Peace Green.
Yeah.
Or Green Peace. I love it.
Oh, right. What's your next one?
Well, Mark, I like I said, I'm supporting Draymond Green. Well, that's my NBA done. You got any more NBA? This is a bloody long
I've
show.
got two. I've literally got two, and that's it. The first one's
two.
Yeah, it's really simple. This one, I saw it. It was like literally a couple of days ago, and it just made me laugh. What do you think the Detroit Pistons record is currently in their last 22 games?
Oh, I do know. Yeah, they're approaching. I think 26 losses in a row is the NBA record, and they're on 22. I don't know what. Maybe it's changed since last time I looked.
It's absolutely shocking. You just think, what? Like, what happens in that instance? You go, you've just got all of these losses.
3 for 22, aren't they?
Yeah, it is literally.
Something like
and you
that.
just look at it and you
But
think,
yeah, well,
oh, come on. Like, and their 3 wins were like,
I mean, they're going to be kicking.
one,
They're going to be kicking to not get that 26 record.
just 2-25. It's not good, is it? How can you have 2-25 as a professional team? Loss. And
Oh, if they 2-25. So what's the loss streak now? So it's 24.
25.
Sugar, bloody hell! So they're 1 away from tying the all-time record, which is 26.
Yeah. And I think the
So by the time we do the next show, they might have beaten it.
22 are in the row. So I think it's 25 losses, 2-25, because 25 losses are overall. But they started the first game of the season, they lost. Then they got 2 wins, and then they've lost every single game since October the 30th.
Oh, so they're still on 22.
So
They're still on 22.
let me count it right now.
Okay, well, by the time we do the next show, they might be, further down the road.
I'm counting it right now.
I think it's 22. Mark, last time I looked, it was 22 losses.
No, 24. They
on 24.
Yeah, they literally lost. Well, it's not really a spoiler alert. They lost a couple of days ago, and then they lost the game before that. So
they lost a few days and the game before that.
Yeah.
All right, so 24. So they're 3 games away, 2 games away from tying the all-time record, 3 games away from claiming the record for themselves.
All I was just going to say is, let's bring out the Mickey Byrne in that. If you're losing 22 games in a row, that's on the coach, surely. The players have got to take 100% responsibility in what they can do. But if you're losing 22 games in a row and you're the coach, you've got to just think, what am I doing here?
I think maybe the GM. Look at who's putting the squad together. Clearly, it's not good enough.
It's look
at the GM
laughable,
as well.
Isn't it? It is absolutely laughable. Well, anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up because that's, I mean, as we're standing now, it's like 20th of December.
Let's see where they go.
And that is just shocking. But my last one.
Let's see where they go.
My last one was a little stat for you. And I thought you'd quite like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only about 3 days ago, so the stat may have changed just somewhat, but it still stands. Everyone was saying about how the Clippers, they were performing badly, and Harden, was a bit of a black sheep whenever he goes to different teams and stuff, and he hadn't really found that fitting. So someone had put out, after the 6-game winning streak that the Clippers have been on, they're 1 game back in the loss column for 4th place in the Western Conference after having that awful start. So they're 1.5 games back from being 3rd, 2 games back from being 2nd in the Western Conference, 8-2 of their last 10 games. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like we've been talking about the BBL and how the parallels are for you lose a couple of games and it all sort of changes. But this is almost exactly the same sort of thing in the NBA at the moment. You lose in a couple of games, then you get on a little winning streak. Now the Clippers are in sort of 6th position, and their win streak is 16. They're sort of tied basically with Sacramento and Dallas, and everyone was blasting them previously. Incidentally, Lakers, in-season tournament champions, only sitting in 8th.
Well, I think sometimes it takes teams times to gel, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look on the Eastern Conference. Boston are absolutely roaring away with it, and the Bucks they're sort of neck and neck, so to speak. Philly not far behind, and who's number 4? Orlando Magic. I mean, what?
Orlando Magic
having an absolutely blinding season. The whole team's just gelling. They just get together and they just get on with it. Whereas Miami Heat,
you know what the James Harden thing reminds me of is the BBL version of the Newcastle Eagles, where I can clearly remember saying to you, it feels like they need some time to gel.
Yep.
And then they went on this 6-game winning streak run.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost that point where they almost had hit the bottom point where everyone was saying, this is rubbish. Don't sit him on the bench, get rid of him, and not giving him a chance. Next minute, oh look, they've just won 6 in a row. And he's hitting some monster shots because Harden is a shooter. The problem, fundamentally there is they've got 4 players who all want the ball in their hand. That's all the problem is. It's not anything else. They're all super talented people. It's just they all want the ball. So they've just got to learn a way that they can work together. Whereas, just because you've got a really talented player, so what? Doesn't mean anything. Look at San Antonio. They're bottom of the Western Conference, but they've got the all-star, rookie of the season. How can he be rookie of the season if his team's bottom of the conference, 22 losses, 4 wins? I mean, San Antonio suck right now. Pretty hard as well. Golden State, incidentally, not even in the play-in. They're in 11th. They're not even in the play-in, Golden State at this point. They're, down in the doldrums.
They'll be there. They'll be there, mate. They'll be there.
I'm sure.
It's because the NBA are trying to destroy their team, not letting them play players they're allowed to play.
Well, look, I mean, Minnesota Timberwolves are number 1. And who's number 2 in the Western Conference? Oklahoma City Thunder. And they're quite happy to play a player who everyone is really questioning, why are they playing a player? They're quite happy to let.
It was interesting. Adam Silver said they're not doing anything until there's something coming from a police investigation.
Yeah.
And until then, there's nothing for them to really investigate. If the police come up with something, then yeah, they're going to do something about it. But basically, my understanding is allegedly.
Yeah.
You need the girl or their family to speak. If that doesn't happen, nothing's going to happen. And it is what it is.
I'm going to.
Hey, he's got to be marrying this girl. He's got to be marrying this girl.
I'm going to refer to Pat Beverly on this one, and he said it on his podcast. Yeah, and just incidentally, I won't tangent it quickly, but I've been listening to the Pat Beverly podcast for a little while now, and I think he is one of the best podcasters of an NBA player. Other than Paul George, they're 2 of the best guys that are out there doing it because they actually give real answers, about honest answers. You're actually getting an answer from them. It's not political. There's no BS. He just does it what it is. And he made a really good joke about he always drinks a beer after conferences, and they said, why is that? And he said, I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was like, really? It just made me chuckle. I thought, wow, that was his reference point. Like, yeah, just get a beer. I want to have a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin after a conference or whatever. But he was saying, someone had mentioned about this, and he said, why is no one talking about this? I don't get it. And he was on a podcast with a few other famous people, Kevin Hart, to mention a few others, and they kicked him off the podcast. Because he's like, well, why am I not allowed to talk about that? Like, it's a weird situation, isn't it? And they were like, oh yeah, we got to cut you now. And he's like, you kicking me off because I'm saying that. And all he said was, they were like, well, what do you think then? He said, I've got daughters. That's what I'm going to say. That's all he said. And they're like, yeah, we got to cut you because of that. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Why is everyone? I didn't, when you said this to me about bringing it up because people were not really talking about it, I just thought, well, yeah, because it's just a weird thing. But it's odd. People are openly covering stuff and staying away from it. Very, very strange.
Yeah, and sorry, there's a big pause there. I was getting another beverage.
Oh God.
But yeah, it's
very odd.
Yeah, like I said before. I mean, listen to what I said before. I'm not going to say it again, but I commented on that. But yeah, I think the NBA are waiting to see what the allegations are, if the police come back with anything. But again, listening to the legality of it, unless someone comes forward and says anything, nothing's going to happen.
No, but it's odd about all these
if
things.
If nothing's going to happen, it's going to be. But why would you want a player like that in your team?
No, what I mean,
it's affected his career. Like, if you're going to be looking at trying to get rid of him, I guess.
Yeah, look, and obviously to put a balanced point on it, we have to say if something didn't happen or there wasn't anything like that, regardless of what's going on, you go, his career's, he's got the black cloud over him now, and that's it. Like you say, no one's going to want him to play.
Yeah,
on that sort of thing. If things are or whatever. But
all I would say is, like most people, I looked on YouTube, and some of the video stuff I saw, and photo stuff you see, think like, what is going on there? Like, I don't know. Who knows? Well, let's see what comes up with the police investigation.
But it does highlight how much the NBA, you look at a sports league, and they do have a lot going on.
If that was Draymond Green, he'd be out the league.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very unusual how they're treating it, and it's your previous history and maybe your connections, I don't know, clearly have a part. But the NBA are clearly busy at the moment. They've got a lot of things going on, especially the Golden State Warriors.
Well, Adam Silver said they're waiting on the police.
Yeah,
they said they're waiting 100%. On the police investigation. 100%. So let's see what happens with that. But Mark, I've got a last one for you, and it's not NBA. It's a bit of fun. You like this one? This is college basketball. This is college Division I basketball.
Okay. Which college? Which place?
This is
NCAA.
You might have to help me out here. So, what?
NCAA?
It's Division I college basketball.
Okay.
What?
Is it NCAA, like American colleges?
It's American college, yeah. Division I American college. Yep. So I don't know what team this is, but it's IUPUI Jaguars, whatever that is. And they were playing a team called Lindenwood.
IUPUI Jaguars.
I don't know what university it is.
I don't know.
I think it's Pennsylvania. It might be Pennsylvania. But anyway, these two teams are playing each other. The score in the game was, I'm just trying to find it.
Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. IUPUI.
Okay, well, those guys. Lindenwood were in black. They had 71. And IUPUI had 64, and they were in white. And it was 1 minute, 21 seconds left in the third quarter.
Yep.
And what happens? Substitute, all in white, comes to sub in the game. And you know what stood out for me? As I saw it, and straight away I was like, well, hang on, the guy's taking his second shot here.
Yeah.
Like, what's this about? Like, you're not allowed to sub in, so it was an unusual moment. I just thought, what's going on there? Anyway, a YouTuber almost successfully subbed into a Division I college basketball game. He dressed up. He was wearing a warm-up jacket that looked like very similar to one of the teams.
Really?
He ran up to the subs bench, ripped it off. Underneath, he had a LeBron James Miami Heat jersey, which matched the white and red of the PUI Jaguars team, like really, really closely, so no one noticed. And the refs are looking over. A coach quickly ran to the scorer's table to stop him getting on the court, because I think once he gets on the court, it'd probably be a technical foul, and they were losing by 7 or something like that at that point, so it was going to be conjecture. But yeah, the guy was trying to shoot free throws, and the officials noticed what was going, went to the scorer's table, and yeah, it was they worked out it was a prank, but the court officials and the coaches weren't hiding their displeasure of the prank, and the guy was escorted out of the building.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, that's
If
hilarious.
you've not seen it, it's quite entertaining. Nothing really happens, but it's quite entertaining. Mark, this is well a long one.
I think I saw it. That's what she said. I think I saw the thing on somewhere, like one of the things out there. But yeah, that's genius. That is absolute genius. Yeah, you're not getting on the court, but it's a good effort.
Well, yeah, if he got on the court, I think there'd been a T to, IUPUI or whatever it was. A T to them. But yeah, ironically, I'm recording a podcast at the same time as we're normally recording, but this time a little bit more steaming and still tired at the end. But this is arguably the longest one we've ever done.
Yeah, probably.
For BBL update.
Yeah.
It's got to be pushing 2 hours, right?
Yeah. 2:10.
Wow. Jesus, no one's going to be listening this deep in it.
Well, I think that's a wrap up for this week, though, isn't it? Would you say?
Yes. Let's wrap it up.
Well, thank you very much. If you made it this far, bless you. You are a true trooper. I can say that. But thank you very much for listening. If you haven't listened to some of our episodes, go back and have a listen. We've got 51 episodes out at the moment. It's pretty frightening. By the time this one comes out, it'll probably be 53. So, thank you very much for listening. I have been Mark, and Down Under has been...
G'day, I am Paul, and I haven't seen a single badminton racket or badminton line or badminton court in Australia. They're doing something right down under. Well done.